Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am back to talk about the 100, episode 503, titled Sleeping Giants, which premiered Tuesday, May 8th, 2018 on the CW. I'm recording literally 15 minutes after the episode is aired, and if you've seen the episode, guys, then you know what I want to talk about. Like, oh my god. So anyway, chief spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. Quick shout out again to Mr. Legendary AO for their wonderful comment. Truly appreciate it. Hope to see one for this video as well. But I'm going to try to do this in 10 minutes. But let's start the clock and let's begin with what happened in this episode. So timeline wise, again, I guess now we're in the present day, like for sure. So essentially 6 years, 7 days since Prime Fire happened in 413. I'm pretty sure the episode picked up where episode 501 happened. It's definitely enough time has passed, long enough for the people on the Ark to have gotten themselves ready and to have themselves already in the shuttle heading for the Aegis main ship. So enough time for that to happen. And then also enough time for Clark and Maddie to get in position to kind of corner the prisoners. With huge episode reminder was the fact that we have the people from the ring, from the Ark, are now on the ground. So you got a reunion of sorts, if you know what I mean. The episode objective was, though, for the prisoners, it was to find out who was attacking them. For Clark, it was trying to protect Maddie from them. And then for the people in space, they were trying to find a way back home to the ground. So huge episode breakdown. I pretty much said it right there with the objectives. But two different focuses again, what's happening on the ground and what's happening in space. So back on the ground, we have Clark, who gets captured by the prisoners and eventually is forced to give a history lesson about the end of the world, both times, in exchange for not harming Maddie. And she actually tells them that it's only the two of them, there's no one else out there, which kind of bites her in the butt later, but even though she was telling the truth. But anyways, the second storyline, though, was the people from the Ark traveling to the Aegis main ship in space, discovering that it was a mining company. It was the fourth, I guess, main ship, because they did make reference to Aegis 3, and this one that they went on was Aegis 4. And they find out that their prisoners from 100 years ago were all in cryo sleep, so they're still dealing with the prisoners now, and there's 300 of them originally. Now there's only 283 on board in cryo sleep. So there's that. Also, we found out that Raven and Murphy stay behind on that Aegis ship while the others go down to the ground in order for them to have control over the state of the cryo sleep. That's kind of like their leverage to kind of get them to talk with the people on the ground. So last moments of the episode, though, was Bellamy making himself known to the prisoners, I don't know what she's called, but Charmaine, what her status is, but the leader, making himself known to her and stating that you better listen to me or you have 283 lives at stake up in the sky, all to protect Clark, who was getting electrocuted by the shock collar. So character-wise, again, a lot of focus on the three characters from the prisoners. Charmaine, we found out that she had some SEAL training. We also found out she's part of the main group that orchestrated the kill of the captain and his crew 100 years ago, from that video. So there's that. Also with Zeke, we find out that he had a Harley motorcycle, I believe, back before he got put on the Aegis ship, and he's really missing it. But he also seems to have he's more of the one not to resort to violence. He'd rather use his mind, or he'd rather use kind methods. He definitely showed a soft spot towards Clark, or at least thinking that she would open up if treated with kindness as opposed to being a threat. So there's that. Also, Paxton McCreary, aka Graveyard, I mistakenly thought that he was killed in 501. He was not, unfortunately. Instead, he's the one that's giving the beatdown and shockings to Clark. So there's that. He definitely has this thing for his beanie, though. So there's that. Tidbit-wise, though, we find out that it took Bellamy, Raven, and Echo to kill one of the prisoner inmates that came out from cryo sleep. So one of them, and that guy was huge, like really, really big, both in height and muscle. It's like, if it took three of them, it's like, wow. He didn't even go down when Echo speared him with her sword a few times. He just kept on fighting. It's like, yikes. Also found out, again, like I mentioned, 300 original prisoners on the Allegiant ship. 283 are now left in cryo sleep. I don't know if that's before or after that inmate they just killed. But there's that. And also the fact that those prisoners are unaware of the first nuclear apocalypse, the one that originally sent the nuclear radiation that eradicated the Earth for 100 years, essentially. Or for 93 years, was it? Yeah, 93 years. So there's that. So they really had no idea what happened both times the world has ended. So ship status, though. Bellamy and Clark reunited at the very end. We don't actually get a conversation between the two, but they lock eyes. They know each other is alive. So there's that. Also, Bellamy and Maddie. Maddie recognized Bellamy instantly, probably from a picture that Clark has drawn. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm assuming. But Maddie was confident that it was Bellamy and saying that Clark knew that he would come back, and kind of taking him by the hand and saying, like, I need your help now. Clark needs your help. We got to save her, type of thing. Also, with Murphy and Amori, there's still tension between them, but we did find out that Amori was the one that kicked Murphy out because he wasn't being productive for the team. He'd rather sit around and do nothing than be like her and try to find a way for her to help the team survive, or to help Raven, or to help Monty and stuff like that. It's something that Monty and Murphy fought about as well, too. Also, with Bellamy and Raven, we find out that at the very end, Raven tells him to leave her behind so that she can man the prisoners as their leverage, and they don't want to separate. Bellamy does not want to leave Raven behind because he doesn't want to repeat the same thing with Clark, so it's just, there's that. Also, because of this, though, we get Murphy staying behind to keep Raven company, thinking there's a way back down, but then she reveals to him that there is no way back down, so you kind of stayed behind to die with me, type of thing. So there's that. Also, we get confirmation in this episode that Raven has trained Amori, kind of like an assistant, but she's had simulations and flight training and stuff like that. So that's kind of how she became productive. So anyways, moving on to the most shocking moment of the episode. I think it would well, I can't talk. I think it has to be the fact that Bellamy and the group were able to get to the ground as quickly as they could. Because technically, this is the second episode where we got to see the events of the ground, of what's happening in space, even though it's the third of the season. But I thought that was pretty fast that they were able to get to the ground. I mean, I love it, don't get me wrong, but I was under the impression, or I had the weird illusion that it was going to take them a while to get down there. So I'm glad that we got that reunion very quick, very simple. So there's that. But moving on to top 3 favorite moments. You got to know, with all the videos I've done, you got to know what my favorite moment was. And that was the fact that Bellamy proclaimed that Clark was important to him enough to risk the lives of 283 people in space. And that was just fantastic. He didn't even flinch about it. The quote that he said is up on screen right now for sure. I also love the fact when Maddie mentioned Clark for the first time, Bellamy was just like so stunned at the possibility that she could still be alive. And then when he actually sees her, even though she has that shock collar on her, and he sees her, he's like, yeah, I couldn't save her before, I'm going to save her now, type of a thing. And it's just like, it was great to see how the impact of Clark's sacrifice not only affected Bellamy, which was mentioned in the sky, and how he was saying that he left Clark to die. He didn't want to do that for Raven. He didn't want to do that to Raven like he did before. And then also with Murphy bringing up Clark's sacrifice and saying that she didn't die just so that we would die in space, but then Bellamy countering that Clark didn't die so that they could repeat the same mistakes that they've done, type of thing. So it's very interesting to see the impact there, but I'm just loving that they got reunited, even if it's on screen, even though they didn't share any words. As long as they shared that glance, I was so happy for that. And also his promise to Maddie, where he tells her that he's going to protect Clark, again, quote on screen. But I got to tell you this, guys, when the Bellamy and the group were tuned into the radio frequency when they were on Allegiant, and they were hearing the prisoners hunting down a grounder, and they didn't know the grounder or who it was. They had no idea. I started tearing up for no random reason, and I kept thinking that my tears were coming just from the mere possibility that Bellamy and the group would hear Clark over the radio being tortured somehow, and they would know that it was her, or she'd say something that would identify her, and then just having him hear that, like, that be the confirmation. Like, I blame that reason being why for the tears, but just all of a sudden I was just tearing up. I was like, why am I tearing up? It's just like, this couple ruins me so much, and they're not even official. I mean, come on. But But anyways, next favorite moment would have to be Bellamy and Raven. Just the dynamic between the two of them while they're looking through the logs, but also when they're kind of having their quote-unquote goodbye scene, their last scene, when he's telling her he doesn't want to leave her behind, but she's telling him that I made a promise that I would get you guys home, let me do that for you, type of a thing. It was really touching. It definitely showed an ounce of how their bond has formed over the last 6 years. I wish they didn't have to be separated like this. I hope to see them be reunited soon, or I definitely hope they'd be reunited. I don't know if it'd be soon or not, but I definitely like the dynamic between the two of them. Another favorite of mine was the fact that Murphy actually stayed behind with Raven. I wasn't expecting that of him for sure, and while he did play it off that it was a survival move since he wasn't really confident in Amori's flying skills, and there's a timer, but the fact that he stayed behind with Raven, I have a feeling that something's gonna grow between the two of them for however long they stay in space together. I have no idea. They still have that antagonistic dynamic from what we saw in 501. So we'll just have to wait and see about that. But I like the fact that he did stay behind. When in the episode he expressed how much he wanted to go back on the ground and how he didn't want to be in space anymore, type of thing. So it was a sacrifice in a sense for Murphy because he was giving up his chance to return it to the ground, not realizing that he may never return to the ground. So there's that. Another favorite of mine was the fact that Zeke, the prisoner, I don't know if he was a prisoner or a guard, but Zeke, he was trying to protect Clark, trying to stop the violence against her, and try to just get her to talk, try to make reasons. I really like that he tried to stop any violence towards her. So I like that. Out of all of them, I'm liking him the most out of all the prisoners. He seems more reasonable of them. I just hope he doesn't prove me wrong and he's secretly the most dangerous one of them all. But there is that. Moving on to top 3 peeve moments very quickly. There was no scenes about the bunker. Understandably so why there wasn't any. But it's going to get pretty tiring very quickly if it's going to keep alternating between episodes. Like 502 was just strictly about the bunker. 501 is about the ground and about the space, just like this episode. So, and the promo for this next episode, which I will get into, looked like it was just solely based on the bunker. So if it's going to keep alternating between episodes, between which focus of the story until they merge, I'm going to get really annoyed by that. So it's a slight peeve there. But moving on to what we'll remember most when I look back on this episode, Bellark reunion. Was there any doubt? I mean, as small as it was, there was no doubt that was going to be the thing I remember the most from this. So there's that. Moving on to random questions though very quickly. First one, how far did Clark get with her answers to Charmaine? Was it all history she learned on the Ark and then she added in what she learned about Ali in season 3? Was she delaying in her answers, or like we only caught snippets of what she told them? So I'm wondering to what extent was done off screen, if you get what I mean. Second question though, could Zeke be converted to be on the side of our heroes, our characters, if you will, and not that side of the prisoners, since McCreary even said that he was not one of them, although Charmaine said that all the prisoners were one or were family, whatever. That just sounded weird the way I was going to say it. But anyways, you know what I mean. So there's that. I hope Zeke could be turned to our side. Kind of think of it like Zeke being the new Lincoln, essentially, right? In a sense, think of how Lincoln was able to, in the first season, how he was able to come to the side of the delinquents and how he eventually kind of sided with them, turning against his own people. I'm wondering if Zeke could be like the new Lincoln in that sense. That just came to me right now. Wow. Also, last question. Did anyone else notice the parallel that they had of Raven staying behind on the Legis ship, and Murphy, if you want to get technical, just like Jaha had done at the end of season 1? Raven stayed behind just so that she was able to operate and regulate the cryo sleep of the prisoners, which can't be done on the ground. So she stayed behind to deal with that. But then at the end of season 1, Jaha stayed behind so that he could have all the other ARC stations released and able to go to the ground. But he had to stay behind to push that button. So I'm wondering if anyone else noticed that parallel between Raven and Jaha there. So there's that. But moving on to predictions very quickly, based off the promo for 504, like I mentioned, it does look like it's going to focus a lot on the bunker, specifically why Kane is in that arena that we saw at the very end of 502. And we hear quotes of "Only the guilty should fight in the arena" by Octavia, and it's followed by "We are all guilty" by Kane. It really looks like Kane's struggling with, I believe, his survivor's guilt to the point that he's just done with it. And it looks like he's telling Octavia that, and she's like, "So be it." And then it has him in the ring, or it has her in the ring giving the final blow. I don't know. But there's that. But based on the synopsis for the episode, it reads that our heroes are forced to rely on the help of Shallow Valley's dangerous new inhabitants in order to save some of their own with surprising results. So that's a question there. Dangerous new inhabitants has to be the Allegiance prisoners for sure. Also, to save their own, what if it's to try to get inside the bunker? What if they use their own, that really, really teched out gun to try to blast open the bunker door or all the rubble on top of the door? I wonder if that's related, but that sounds no way connected to what we saw in the promo. So I'm excited to see what happens. What do you guys think of this episode? What do you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and opinions, but what do you think is going to happen next? Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all that good stuff, all found in one place. Go check that out. It's also connected to my WordPress account. Link for that is down below as well. Everything I post online will be connected to my WordPress. Both have to be updated. I am behind. I am fully aware of that. I'm hoping with a lot of the TV shows ending with their season finales this month that I could kind of slowly go back to updating things, especially with work going into like the summer schedules and stuff. So hopefully I'll get back into that. But otherwise, that's about it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week wherever you are. Bye for now.